be too long on this. I want to do an update tier list because I haven't done one in months, and there's been a lot of changes since the last one. I think the last one was when Fatorius was OP and ports were essentially at the top. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Italy, just so damn good right now. Just so utterly damn good right now. Their FI's been buffed. Their architecture builds where they can just mass architects, and if you try and rush them, then you can just spam outposts. Their skirms are really fast, and they got buffed, and they're amazing, and all of their 8-4 shipments are amazing. Lombard XP trickle is way too good. Blah 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 blah. Italy are S tier. If there was an S plus tier, they would be in it. So Italy number 1 right now. Let's should we do it in order, or should we just go for it randomly? Let's just pick it randomly. Otto, definitely. I think they're at the bottom of S tier if I was to do it horizontally as well, but they're still in S tier. They're noticeably better than A tier civs. Abyss gunners are just insane right now. Ever since they got buffed, so their rate of fire was increased, they've essentially just been insane, absolutely insane. They've also got auto spamming, TC spamming, sorry. Yeah, they can do a lot, and AZAP's a cool unit, but they're not great. But yeah, Abyss gunners are basically the reason why they take this S tier slot. Let's go for Sweden. A lot of people would like to put Sweden in S tier, but they're honestly not S tier. They're honestly not S tier. They are a good space in A tier. The only reason why Sweden aren't in S tier is because they suffer from a few actually really bad matchups. Looking at the pool here, like you know, Aztecs are good against them. Hausas are good against them. India's very good against them. Inca's very good against them. Mexico are very good against them. Do you know, there's a lot of civs that are good against Sweden. It's just people struggle with the playstyle against Sweden. So they've got, like I was mentioning earlier, they have a really high risk-reward ratio. So they're quite an easy civ to learn and play. However, their reward is very, very high for playing not a high skill ceiling. So they're definitely near the top of A tier, but they did get nerfed last patch. So their tops are slower now to build, and I think they cost 5 extra wood now, so they're 140 wood. So yeah, so I think that's definitely suitable for Sweden. Japan. Now, Japan is difficult. It's maybe too early to tell, but I haven't noticed with the new changes to Japan, they got a few new cards. And I'm debating whether they're like near the bottom of A tier or they're kind of near the top of B tier, because Japan are always kind of good. Again, you have to play a certain way against Japan most of the time, but they can get beat by lots of gimmicks. They're weak against artillery at times, so I'm gonna put them in B tier, I want to say. But maybe if we come back at the end, I will be open to changing Japan, seeing what people in chat say. It's C, their card been nerfed for Ashi and Nagi. Are Japan really C tier? Are they really 2 tiers below Sweden? I don't know. I'd have to be convinced. But you've convinced me that there's definitely at least in B tier at the moment. Let's go for... We've just been playing Spain. Let's go for Spain. I think Spain are a solid A tier. I'd actually put them above Sweden, to be honest with you. They've always been A tier. They've always been, you know, the beginning of DE, they were kind of out just below Brits in strength, and you know, so Spain have always been good. They've now they kind of like got a load of new gimmicks, which is really cool. And well, I personally really like the Hacienda play and the Soldado play with them. They've got, you know, an FR. They've got like 3 different multiple FRs. They've got a great revolt. They can age 2 now. They've got Marvelous Year, so they can boom. Spain have got it all now. They're not the one-trick pony they used to be, but they're very good. I could be convinced that they're bottom of S tier, but I don't think they're OP at the moment. They're you know, they are beatable, that's for sure. But they do lose to the top civ, so we'll put them near the top of A. India, straight to S tier. India above Otto. India are just kind of insane right now. India have always kind of been really, really good. I don't know, they've always been kind of just below the surface of the top tiers, and they've kind of always gotten away with it. Sepoy's got nerfed, but Rajput's got buffed. Has that really changed much? No. Karni Martyr's got nerfed, but Karni Martyr's still really good. I mean, they have the best age-free shipment in the game, arguably the best shipment in the game. So, which is the elephant guns, the elephant culverins, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, they're kind of sea jellies. That's the word I'm looking for. They are just absolutely insane. They obviously scale insanely well because they get a free villager with every shipment. Yeah, just one of the top performances, and they're currently one of the only civs that can kind of beat Italy at the moment. So they're a lot of people are playing Italy purely because there's a lot of Italy's in the rank. So India are the only ones that can kind of counter Italy at the moment. Sea jellies the best shipments, and Cassadors lose to pikes in melee. Got to keep saying it. Yeah, what's up, Mini? Yeah. Okay, that's all to say about India, really. China. Now, this is a difficult one. This is a difficult one because China did get hit with the ban hammer, with the nerf hammer. They've China, like India, have always typically been near the top. They've always been really, really good. But do they still compete with the S tier boys, or are they more in line with the A tier boys? I actually think I'm gonna have to go for the vote the audience on this one. So, guys, I'm gonna use one of my lifelines, and I'm gonna have to ask the audience on this one. What do you think, A tier or S tier? I mean, there's no argument they're any lower than A, but I think S or A. I might put them at the D tier. I'll put them at the top of A for the moment. Again, they have H2. The problem is the blockhouse. That the new card that gave them, it's not new anymore really, but the card that gives them the export trickle and a wagon, a consulate wagon, and you can get the Russia blockhouse. It's just so good. It's so good. People are saying A tier, A above Sweden. Yeah, are they above the Spain pain train? Debatable. They're quite. I've always regarded these two very similar in rank. To be honest, I consider Sweden a mid A tier civ, so you know there'll be quite a few things that are above Sweden. Let's go for now I'm gonna get some hate for this one. Brits definitely yes tier. No, Brits are definitely. Now I don't know why there's such hysteria about Brits. There is so much hysteria about Brits. Like, mana's got changed by 5 extra wood, and they lost the free villager card. So you can play and bear in mind, they've always been considered the best or second best. So they've always been considered right near the top, and for a long time they were S tier. So losing 1 extra villager from the free villager card into the 2 villager card. By the way, that doesn't come in until after you've started aging up. Now, this has always been the problem, that Brits can kind of age up with the best eco in the game, and they age up at about 2 minutes 30, so they can age up much quicker than the rest of the crew, the rest of the cast of civilizations. So that's always been their biggest problem, and the new changes don't impact that. You've got lots of people trying new builds at the moment, but honestly, you can just play standard with them. And yeah, I'm going to put them in A tier. They could still arguably be at the bottom of S. Like, they are honestly still really, really good, but I'm going to leave them here. I mean, arguably, there's, I mean, yes, they've been nerfed, but there's also the GMT card. Essentially, now it comes in fast. It's essentially a way for Brits to get to age 3 fast. So they do their standard 700 wood, 5 villager, 4 villager, 600 wood, whatever. And then you can ship GMT straight after that, build another TP, and you're essentially aging up like, what, 40% faster? So it's a way around Brits not being able to age up fast. And now they have an option of aging up fast. But they're never going to be in a fast fortress civ. They're always going to be an H2 civ, but they now have options to age up to 3 quickly. So Brits definitely an A tier. I mean, there's no way they were ever considered S tier, and then after losing 1 villager in a shipment, and mana's going up 5 wood, there's no way they're now considered anywhere below A. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen people go absolutely lose their minds over Brits and go, they've been nerfed into oblivion, blah 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 blah. No, they're still a really, really good civ. Anyways, let's go on somewhere down near to my heart. Poor USA. Poor USA. USA have just been nerfed after nerfed after nerfed after nerfed after nerfed, and they were considered the gimmick civ, and because people didn't like playing against them, they are continually asked for nerfs, even though they've never been considered top tier. They've been nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, and don't make me say it, but you noobs in the lower levels that can't handle their artillery, just we've been here before, right? We've been here before, and I don't need to go over it again. But where are USA? Are they C tier? I think they could be considered B tier, but I might put them down to C tier. I honestly just think they are so bad. They honestly so bad. The only thing that might be a redeeming factor for them is the goons. Their goons did get buffed, so that could be a redeeming factor for them. But when you look at when you're playing USA, and then you're playing against the likes of Italy, India, like Spain, like Brits, like it's just so difficult. It's just so difficult. USA is FF. You lost your Gatling, you lost. Yeah, Kevin hits the nail on the head there. Unfortunately, so many of their matchups are fast fortress, and if you use the Gatling guns, you're just dead in the water. You're just completely dead in the water. Their eco sucks ass. Like, it sucks ass. Unless you tech into it, but then you're very slow and you lose so much tempo. So yeah, we might leave them in C tier at the moment. There are a couple of civs in C tier, I think. So, and we'll bring that up, but yeah. Okay, let's go for probably my favorite civ at the moment. Mexico have been one of my favorite civs along with USA. These two have been my favorite civs for a long time. Mexico is another one which is very, very good. I think I've always said this. They're very versatile. They're like USA, just better. They're like USA, just better and more versatile. They have skirmishers H2. They have like the best kind of pikeman type shipment in the game. Insurgents, arguably, because they're so cheap. They're just they are just so good. And to be honest, they're not just A. They're near the top of A. Are they better than Brits and Spain? It's debatable. They probably sit somewhere in between them. Are they? They're next to. They're arguably as good as China as well. They're honestly just such a good civ, and there's so many ways to play them. That's the coolest thing, for my opinion, about Mexico. There's no standard way of playing them. They've got gimmicks, if you will, which are very viable. They've got the standard play, which is very viable. And every Mexico player I see has a different style with them, and they all tend to do quite well with them. So yeah, Mexico, great civ, really fun civ, just really, really good. Moving on to Malta. I know Kevin's in chat and probably have a few words to say about this. I think Malta are A tier, but I think they're at the bottom of A tier. I consider Malta to potentially be the highest skill ceiling civ in the game, so that's probably why they're here as well. So they're probably the hardest civ in the game to play at a top level, like at a really, really high level. But if you know how to play it at that high level, then they can be very, very good. And when you're starting to get past sort of 14, 15 minute mark, they are just the scariest civ in the late game, like in Supremacy at least, because of their expos are like the strongest skirmers in the game. Their cav and their goons, they shadow tech. They are really, really cool civ, and you're almost forced to play a certain way against Malta, because you have to have some form of aggression against them, because otherwise they'll outboom you. They'll just completely take them out with forts and fixed guns. Yeah, I think they're a good civ, but I don't think they're the best. France, I think they sit pretty here. I think France sit above Sweden? I could probably consider France like in line with Sweden, like as good as Sweden. I don't think they're as good as China, Mexico, Spain, or Brits, but they're sort of middle of A tier. So yeah, France are really good. They've got the new. You think they're as good as Spain? I don't think they're as good as Spain. They've got the new cards. The Ancient Regime card was changed to Age 1, and I've been experimenting with that. I did put a video on YouTube about it, and it's it's kind of a new way of being able to either rush with them. You can semi-FF it. You can turn it into more native units as well. So they've got a lot of options now, and again, there's no right or wrong way to play them, and they've got kind of a new style which I really like. So I think they're decent A. Yeah, French pretty good civ. They are the all-rounder civ. They are the all-rounder civ. They can essentially do everything, and they can do it well. They can rush well. They can cav really well. They can fast fortress or fast industrial well. They can literally do everything. I think let's go for Russia. This is an interesting one because I don't know if I consider Russia the worst civ in the game. Whenever I see they lose really hard to a few matchups, so they're arguably in C tier, next to USA. Funnily enough, Russia is one of USA's hardest matchups, so Russia kind of counter USA really hard. But every time I see top players play Russia, they tend to do quite well with them, and if they lose, they're still in there. So I don't know if Russia's quite as bad as people say, but maybe it's a B tier civ. French don't have that many bad matchups. Yeah, they don't really, do they? They don't overly have that many bad matchups. You don't think Sweden is up with Otto in India? Not a chance, Animus. Like, not even close. Not even close. I did discuss this about Sweden. Good civ, but a couple of really... Like, Sweden get absolutely destroyed by all the S tiers, and they get destroyed by the top A tier civs. Not destroyed, but they get beat by them. And I did speak about how you have to play a certain way with them, and they're very easy risk-reward, easy to play, high-rewarding civ, but if you know how to play against them, they're kind of bad. Not bad, but they're kind of meh. USA stomps Russia. No, I totally disagree. Russia can rush them, and like we said, they can be in your base before you fast fortress. And yeah, Russia have a very good matchup against USA. Certainly against my USA, and I've been playing them along. Well, we can argue about it minimal. At some point, I'll be happy to discuss it. But I do main USA, and I personally feel like, ironically, that Russia, one of the worst in the game, do really, really well against them. That's just, that's my opinion. But just put the Spanish immigrants in your deck. Yeah, so you have to play H2 versus Russia, and you can Spanish immigrant rush them. However, if you don't, it's such a risky strat, because if you don't scout their blockhouse, you're kind of fucked. That's the biggest problem. You're kind of fucked. You can't Spanish immigrants then fast fortress. Like, the shipment curve doesn't work well with that either. So you have to play H2 at least to a certain degree. And like I said, if you miss the blockhouse and your tower from Spanish immigrants isn't sitting on the blockhouse, then it's a waste of Spanish immigrants. And Strelets are just going to clean up pikes. Anyways, moving on. Let's go for Portugal. I think Portugal are a decent A tier civ at the moment. I think they're probably below Sweden and France, but they're definitely in the mix. I'd say they're probably in front of Malta. Maybe they're in line. Maybe they're sort of same level as Malta. You don't see a lot of Ports play, but I honestly think Ports are really good. I think Kevin thinks Ports is so good, man. Yeah, I agree. I still think they have a couple of bad matchups, but the fact, and take Fatorius out of it. I mean, I personally still like sending Fatorius, because when you have free TCs, it's like 3.5 villagers, not from the market, just standard villagers, unupgraded. So I don't know. I just like the trickle as well, and so Fatorius. But Fatorius isn't the reason why they're good. The reason why Portugal are good is purely because they now have free organ gun card. The free organ gun card that got changed from 2 organ guns honestly makes them just so good. Like, you make some halberdiers, you can ship some halberdiers, then and you get the organ guns out straight away. You age up with Castadors. You've got a free comp unit composition really early on, and it's very strong. Like, Portugal's one of their biggest weaknesses was always against the civilizations like the Eurocivs that get the 2 falconets out, and they didn't have a good way of beating 2 falconets. Free organ guns arguably beats 2 falconets, so now they can compete against that artillery war, and that was always their biggest issue. So yeah, I think Portugal are really good. I think they're strong. I think they can compete against almost anyone. They've got a strong fast industrial. They've got a strong water play. They've got a great fast fortress. Yeah, people like to play them in H2 as well. I personally am a fast fortress enjoyer with them, because why are you not getting the most benefits out of the civilization, which is more TCs? And I'm a Fatorius enjoyer, so the more TCs the better. But there's better players that play it differently to me. So yeah, I think Portugal are sitting comfy there. Germany, let's go for the other A tier civ. I think probably arguably better than France. Probably arguably, I mean, Germany could be here. They could be here. Germany are a great civ. Germany are a great civ. They can play H2. They do. They're good at playing H2. They lack the musketeer, so you don't want to stay in H2 too long. But they're great at cav raiding. They get free cav. Again, like Malta, I think Germany are potentially one of the highest skill ceiling civs in the game, purely because you're constantly getting free cav, and if you can utilize that free cav really, really well, constantly raiding, constantly finding the gold mines, constantly annoying your opponent without losing that cav. So if you've got really, really strong micro, they are one of the best in the game. So yeah, I mean, it's they could be here, they could be here. I mean, arguably they could be here. It's debatable. It's debatable. They could be top 3 in A tier. We'll probably leave them there. Germany is the top of A. Too many civ in A at the moment. No, I disagree, Rob. I genuinely think that the balance overall of the game is actually pretty damn good. Apart from the top 3 civs. I think this is the balance of the game is pretty good in general. Okay, moving on. Dutch. Dutch is debatable. I think Dutch is B tier. I'm probably going to get some people in chat which are going to say they're A tier. Maybe if they are A tier, they're at the bottom of A tier. They're one of my most beloved civs. They're one of my favorite civs. I've been playing them for a long time. Maybe they are A tier. They do have Bosniaks. The new cards that they've been given, which are the mercenary cards, so they can get Highlanders, which are buffed, and they get the Royal Horseman, is a really nice card. However, it's more of a team game card. If this was a team tier list, then Dutch would be at the very top. But because it's a 1v1, I think they might go to the top of B tier. Bosniaks alone make them A tier. That's what the reason I bought a Bosniaks is because that's the only thing that can tempt me to make them A tier. I don't know. I just feel like Dutch get beat by the A tier civs. Like Dutch get beat by the A tier civs. That's the biggest problem. They get beat by Brits. They get beat by Spain. They get beat by Germany. Only just, but it's an uphill. Every time you play these civilizations, it's an uphill battle. I lost to Turk 4 times. Yeah, I know, but Turk is a great player. Turk is a great player. Maybe we'll leave them here. Maybe leave them there. But I don't think they're better than Ports. I don't think they're better than Malta. I don't think they're better than Sweden, France, China. Do you know what I mean? Like A tiers are good. A tiers are good. Gigs coming in calling me a noob. I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, moving on. Let's go for Ethiopia. Now, this is an interesting one because I don't play much Ethiopia, but I've seen them play recently a lot. And it's debatable whether they could arguably be top of A tier or even maybe at the bottom of S tier. They feel like Ethiopia feel like they can just mass an insane amount of units. They get those coyote type runners. I can't remember what shuttle runners or something. And they're just kind of insane. They did get nerfed by 10 HP. I believe they were 117 down to 160, but they have a new card which buffs them. So they're actually in the long run they're even better, the shuttle runners. Ethiopia I feel like are kind of one of those hidden S tier civs. But Africa, both the Africa civs got buffed with the artillery as well, so it's a lot easier to get artillery now. I call it the coffee bean. Now it's not S. What the fuck? Where would you put it then, Kevin? I've heard like the likes of Julian say that they are S tier, but they are. I feel like they're very, very good. Maybe we'll leave them here. It's high A. Okay, we'll leave them there. I mean, Kevin, I'm not an Ethiopia player, so I'm simply a watch Ethiopia enjoyer. But I do feel like they're very good. They're very, very good. They get so many different types of units as well. This is the thing about Africa civs. They get one barracks and they can get so many different types of units. They get export or the equivalent of export, and then they can make, they can get like Abbas Gunner type units. They can get so many different units, and it's kind of insane. Aroma warriors have been buffed as well. I haven't seen them utilized very much at the moment, but Aroma warriors could be something that we could see more of. Hausa. Again, this is I don't really play the Africa civs very much, but I feel like Hausa are kind of good. But then I also hear a lot of people say Hausa are bad. We just played April, who's we played quite well against them, but we got beat. So I feel like people are going to say Hausa are bad, and they're going to say that they're B tier. But I've played a lot of Hausas, and I feel like they're very good. And I feel like Hausa have really good matchups against certain, like against Sweden, for example. You know, you can just run around with Raiders the whole map. You know, I feel like they're good. So I'll probably leave them B tier for the moment. They're certainly not worse than Russia or USA. There's just no way they're worse than these two civs. Next up, let's go for Lakota. I don't know if there is a D tier. I don't think there is a D tier civ in the game. I think that's debatable. But I'm not seeing a load of Lakotas dominate on the in the game at the moment. I don't actually see a lot of Lakota players at all. But there are you know, off the top of my head, like Keister is probably one of the best Lakotas at the moment. And he seems to do well with them. Whenever I see him play, he seems to do well. And then I think about like the USA matchup and Russia, and I feel like Lakota are probably better than Russia and USA. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the biggest problem with Lakota is not many people play them. Unga saying they're not bad, straight D tier. Lots of bad Lakota matchups in the turtle meta. Yeah, but again, I feel like Lakota have good ways around that. I mean, they're one of the best civs to get to 99 vills if you tech into it properly. So if you're playing a turtle civ, you know, you can just 99 vills yourself. You can run around the map raiding, dominantly take the map. You can, you know, they've got the howitzers in H4 now. So yeah, I feel like Lakota are decent, at least B tier, really. Yeah, I don't know, because I compare things to USA and Russia, and I just feel like those two civs are kind of bad. But maybe maybe like Russia and USA should be B tier, because maybe they're not that bad. I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel. Like I said, I talked about Russia, and every time I see top players play them, you know, they tend to do quite well. Inca. Let's do Inca, because Inca are perhaps the most infuriating civilization in the game. They have one particular style which is unbelievably infuriating, and that's the classic Osteo style. They have that card which ups TC fire, which upgrades all building hit points, like, and then you can spam TCs and spam forts, and it's just it's mind-numbingly infuriating. Whilst the whole time they're running around the map with their coyote runners, whatever they're called, just massacring your villagers, and you're trying to push into his base, and it's taking you 10 minutes just to take down one TC. So yeah, perhaps the most infuriating civilization in the game. If I was to put them they're definitely better than Dutch. I think they're better than Malta. You know, they have good matchups versus Sweden. They're probably on par with like Portugal. So I'd probably put them around here somewhere. Maybe around here. Like, honestly, if anyone's played Osteo before, and he's beaten everyone. Like, I've seen, like, for anyone who says that, I've seen him beat everyone playing every type of civilization, and he's pretty much the only person that plays that style. Thank God. But it's a really good style. It's for all its annoyances, it's a very good strategy. There's just no way that they're D tier. They are good. They are good, but you have to play a certain way with them. I mean, you don't have to. You know, I think there's Daniel, who is also another. You know, is arguably a top player, and he plays Inca a lot, and he does really well with them, and he doesn't play the Osteo style. So yeah, I think Inca are decent, and they have some good matchups against civilizations that like building eco. So Japan, Sweden. I mean, they just absolutely dick on USA. You know, they beat Russia, I think, as well. So yeah, I think they're here. All right, two more to go. Making good time. I know Kevin's probably going to have words to say about this, but Haudenosaunee, I think, are in A tier, but I think they lose to the top A tier civs. They obviously have very good skirmishers. They have arguably the best skirmishers in the game. They have very good cavalry units. But they do struggle. I mean, they can't get artillery in H3, and in the current D meta of lots of turtling and stuff like that, and forts and things like that, they can struggle. But I think they're a solid A tier. Do they beat Dutch? I mean, I see them probably being on par with Dutch. To be honest with you, that's kind of where I see them. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Ungas or Kevin have much to say about that, but yeah, that's where I feel like they are. Aztec. Now this is an interesting one. They have been nerfed, but they still have the war dance, the warrior priest boom. I've played them recently, and it's still a formidable strategy. It actually beats so many of the turtle playstyles because they can get arrow knights out. So Aztec, purely because of the warrior priest boom, I would put them in A tier. I still think like that's the way you have to play them. The thing is, people have kind of forgotten about it because no one's really playing it at the moment. But like you say, the JPC style, I mean, the guy got top 10 just from playing that style with Aztec, and that style hasn't been nerfed that hard. So yeah, I mean, they arguably are still A tier because of that, and you know, there's matchups that struggle with that. So yeah, so made pretty good time on that one. That was a lot quicker than the last tier list I did. That's the tier list, guys. That's what my tier list is looking like. What we can have a couple of minutes before we get into our next game of discussing it if you want to, but I've been watching bits and bobs, but that would be my tier list at the moment. I genuinely think balance is quite good apart from the S tier civs. I mean, arguably Otto are still okay to play against because they struggle in quite a few matchups, but India and particularly Italy are just so oppressive at the moment. But outside of that, yo, what's up, Tilanus? USA worst civ. I've said this for a long time, so I mean, and any of the top players, any of the high elo players, especially the ones that play USA, if you think that USA, I mean USA could arguably be here because, you know, they still have some strategies which are okay, but tell me a civ which is worse than USA. Tell me a civilization which is worse than USA. Like, that's what I tell people, and then when you actually say a civilization, you go, yeah, there's no way that's worse than USA. Do you know what I mean? Like, there isn't a civilization worse than USA in my opinion. But you know, I'm open to it being changed. And are USA noticeably a tier lower than like Russia? Probably not. I don't know if there really is a C or D tier civ at the moment. So yeah, but these civilizations, you know, especially USA, they get absolutely destroyed by the entire A tier. Most of them anyway, and you know, that's the simple reason why they're there. There is no civ worse than USA. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for a long time at the moment, and I've always said the problem with USA is at low elo levels, and this is the same sort of problem with Dutch. At low elo, people can't beat Gatling guns. People struggle with Gatling guns, you know, so they want to blame the civ as opposed to their micro. But at a top level, you know, the Gatlings are very easy to beat. You know, they're great artillery. Don't get me wrong; they're very good, cost-efficient artillery. But yeah, I mean, you take the 3 Gatlings out of the equation, and they struggle. You know, they really struggle. I did mention about the goons, and that could be their saving grace. But is that going to make their tier difference? No. They still have a good FI, and I'm pretty much the only one that does the fast industrial, where you get the free villagers with the TC. So you turn. I can't remember the name of the card, like the California age up, and it's still really good, but. You know, that gets out ecoed hard. It gets out tempoed, and there's just certain civilizations you can't do it against. Win rate wise, USA are mid of the pack, above 1800. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that USA can't. I'm not saying that they can't win against certain civilizations. But honestly, and that's kind of testament to balance being generally good overall. Just because USA are arguably at the bottom, and there has to be a civ at the bottom, right? Like, guys, think about it, right? There has to be one civ which is regarded the worst, and you know, arguably it's Lakota, Russia, USA. You know, I would consider Japan better than these 3 tier civs. Like maybe you could even do that. You know. But just because they're at the bottom, it doesn't mean that they can't win against anyone, you know. USA is as good as Brit, if not better at the moment. Joe, what have you been smoking? What on earth have you been smoking? And when we talk about balance, it's I'm talking about balance from the very top. So I'm talking about the very highest elo level. So at the very top play, this is what a realistic tier list looks like. At 1600 elo, Joe, you know, the tier list changes, and then again at 1400 and 1200 elo, the tier list changes again. So yeah, Lion clearly a biased Brit hater. Name me a civilization worse than USA, and like no top player will agree with you. Hausa, I would say. Russia, I don't know. Hausa, like, guys, seriously, this is a realistic tier list. Everyone's gonna have their own opinions. But this is kind of realistic, and I do think there may be separation between this point here and here. I mean, if it was like an A minus, then that's where Japan would be, and then if a B tier, that's where these guys would be. But I think I'm going to leave it like that because, like I said, USA can beat anyone, as can Russia, and I consistently see this at the top level. As can A tier civs, you know, just do really well against most people. But yeah, this is horizontal as well. So Brits are the best at A, Aztec at the bottom of A, Japan at the top of B, USA at the bottom of B, and yeah. I don't know. I'm still arguably maybe Ethiopia could be at the bottom of S. I think they might be a sleeper OP civilization, but there's, you know, it's still too early to tell. But I did need to do an updated tier list because the last one I did was when Fatorius was OP. So there needed to be a new one. But you know, it's the tier list tends to change depending on the patch quite frequently. So yeah, that's what I would do. I do think Italy and India are particularly good. Ottomans are good, but they're not on the same level as India and Italy. But yeah, I think that's it, guys.